Time. It waits for no one. Now is the time to transform our economy. Now is the time to get our nation back to work and create 50,000 sustainable jobs. This Thursday night, our economy is on the ballot live. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum live. Log on, tune in to the political leaders' plan to jumpstart the economy. This Thursday night, on the ballot live on this station, 7:30 p.m. Now is the time to create 50,000 sustainable jobs. Visit uncplan2020.com. Now is the time.
Join us as we prepare to get TNT working again.
This Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum. Live. Now is the time.
Listen! Take some education! Listen! Come on! Look back up your valleys there, B&M have to go. Just now is election, we bringing back UNC.
Anil is back to deal with the B&M. And to you on the radio, and to you watching on TV, do not adjust your dial. It is Anil you're seeing right here, live and direct, never went anywhere. Because the douglAR can talk either way.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. We're starting a little earlier because we're going UNC, United National Congress, 7:30 on the dot, on the ballot, with the featured speaker being Kamala Prasad Bisesa. So the douglAR to go early, make way for heavy hitting later. Let me tell you something. You know Keith Christopher Rowley tell the media today that Answer McCall have an agenda and the Guardian is against Rowley. hey, this man, I don't know. If he need 2 blue tablets in the morning and 4 in the evening, I really don't know. Understand this. The Guardian that has been renamed the Guardian of Rowley. Rowley attacking them because he never say he didn't know who was in the room and who was in the plane. My eyes, I know I getting old, but my eyes ain't that bad. My ears ain't that bad. I sure yours are too. But me have time with Rowley and his stupidness, you know. Rowley said the PNM have process, and there must be a process for screening and thing. So, well, I never know Fuad Abu Bakr to be a liar. Well, Rowley called him a liar. Well, me ain't know that the business. But if they have a process, Rowley, exactly when did Stuart Young become a PNM member? What party group he is in? What youth arm? What work he did on the ground with the PNM and the convention and Balize House and thing? Where all you get this Brian Lewis from? When exactly did Brian Lewis join the PNM? Has he paid his membership? What number is his membership card? The Brian Lewis who pretend to be an independent man as the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. That Brian Lewis who's screening for the PNM now. I would like to know when he joined. What is his card number? How much he pay? All the waive the fee, he paid the $5, $10 when it was. This JW, this Palance, sing one song, one hit wonder, then try to sing a song. Only he played on the radio and it sung so bad, imagine he didn't play it a second time. That's when you know you ain't good. When you even play your own song a second time. And JW, I was going to go easy with you, know. Because I know you're not too bright and I don't beat up on people who are not too bright and thing. But since you went in the Senate, you're rushing, you're sprinting like Usain Bolt. You're gone from radio where you wasn't a PNM, you was an independent speaker. We ain't never say you was a PNM. Just so you jump out, you jump into a seat, and then jump into a Senate, and then jump in to make a contribution with an iPad. You mustn't let people write things for you because now I'll have to deal with you in a little way because the amount of nonsense you talk in your debut. Here now, that debut was worse than the song you sing. The second one, you know the one where you thought you could have sing? Yeah, I'll go deal with you just now. A man tell me, Anil, but how the other day on Tuesday, you defend Coleman, but because the lady went to ask him a question and your thing, and how you defend Coleman, but because I know, they know I don't like Coleman. Let me tell you something. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't like Coleman, but Coleman Butt is very intelligent. The problem is he's using his brain for your own good and he don't care about none all you. Coleman Butt, I ain't sure if he like people in your own household. He's such a hater. However, you cannot encourage the population to accost ministers like that. Okay? Yes, it was one lady and she was very polite and so on. But if you start a precedent that could get out of hand and could get serious, it could be a security risk. Understand this, because think about it now. People are no water. How many people are no water? So if all the people who are no water rush down on a minister and tell them, try to ask them questions and create, that's an unsafe thing. Now, is it very difficult to get in contact with Coleman Butt? Yes. Is it very difficult to get in touch with your PNM member of parliament? Yes. Is it very difficult to get in contact with your PNM ministers? Yes. Because not even Crow, the man who make up that a man tell him racist thing when he driving the CPEP van down the road, even the great PNM Crow, who fit all the Balize into such a short package, he couldn't even get in contact with them. You forget he sing a whole song, but I was only calling to tell you Merry Christmas. So yes, so therefore that is a reason that you vote them out, because UNC members under Kamla Prasad Bisesa have to be accessible. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, an MP of which I was honored to be one, we had to go in our office and see whoever reached until the last person leave. So I would average 120 to 150 people put every Tuesday. We had to go on Saturday too. Saturday could either be an office day or a walkabout day. Without election, no election. You see, you all forget these things and the media don't like to remind you all. So when you have Kamla Prasad Bisesa who insists on her ministers and her MPs being accessible, that is a reason to vote for Kamla and the UNC, but you all like to play UNC and PNM, same thing. The PNM, let's take a number. Asking all your PNM people who's go by Coleman Butt in Maravalde, opposite the gas station by the KFC, which is the I eat in Royal Castle, because even chicken gone politics now. So anyway, the Royal Castle tastes better anyway, right? But if I was Christian Mute, I would have been a PNM too. Because the money he make by being on the COVID committee and knowing when they was going to start and getting that little jump start on Royal Castle, that million alone, he should be a PNM for life. However, when you go by Coleman Butt or any of them MPs, you have to pull a number. If you reach a little oomph, if you reach number 26, you're out of luck. Kamla Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister would stay in that office in Siparia on a Tuesday all till 9, 10, 11 o'clock and see approximately 420 to 480 people on that Tuesday. Every Tuesday, you see special branch van pack up and all kind of thing down opposite the market in Siparia. Jack Warner, when he was at UNC, used to see about 700. Munilal, they see about 400. I see about 120. Tim Gopi Singh, they see about 200. Fuad Khan, they see about 300. But all your PNM, they say only 25. You ever see? Let me ask all your PNM down in La Hoquette. Not La Hoquette, That's where Jolene going and mash up whoever. But La Hoquette, by Rowley's office. I live in Newbury Hill, which is obliquely opposite. Since 1980, my father buy house there. My daughter used to go to school there, pass every morning going to drop her to school. Since Rowley's Prime Minister. Not one day I see a crowd. Not one day I see the 2 special branch Jeep. Now it have armored vehicle and thing. Not one day since being Prime Minister have I seen Rowley at his constituency office as you turn on La Hoquette opposite Newbury Hill. But all you want to say, Kamla and Rowley, same thing. So I am not defending Coleman Butt, but it is wrong. We cannot encourage citizens to go up to a minister like that when they by themselves coming out and run them down with a camera and ask them questions. That's inappropriate. I also understand, and I'm stating that obviously she would have tried very hard to get a meeting and so on, but that's what all you vote for. If all you vote for people, Coleman Butt is a man, when he was former minister, when he buy the Sioux, and the Sioux he spent 45 million, then he spent another 43 million trying to fix it, and it never sailed 1 yard All you come and let Rowley put he and Stuart Young in charge of buying the Galleon's Passage, a fast ferry that after they buy it, they tell me it's a slow ferry. Just like Rowley saying he did not say that he did not know who come in the plane to come and meet he. Now he said the media and answer Makal against he. Well, if all you could keep up with Rowley lie, all you could go and run against Usain Bolt, because all you have to be real fast to keep up with all them lie. So understand this. When we do that, that is wrong. So, for example, look at your boy Gypsy. Gypsy use a PNM. Gypsy, did you apply? When you got your card, Gypsy? Because just Carnival Day, when I went down in your tent, you beg off on me because I blow you out on the radio and they say, "Bahanel, oh gosh, you call me a PNM. I's not," Gypsy, you forget? Well, I'll quote you. "I's not a PNM. You know, I just doing this thing." Because remember you said you were complaining about the funding for Carnival and that you weren't getting any money and that you should get 50 million US to promote Carnival and so on. Remember that? And I went on the radio Power 102 and I said, "But Gypsy, but you in charge. Is you in government? So why you don't go and get the money and help we out in the Carnival? Pan man get cut, mass man get cut, everything cut. No local Carnival, no regional Carnival, but you is a Calypso get cut. Tent collapse." So I went in your tent. I said, "Let me hear some Kaiso, man." I sit down with the great Skippy. And in the middle of the thing, a Calypsonian decide he going and attack Dr. Guyan Nadsby Dolly. Well, you know your boy. And I said, "Oh God." I said, brother, no, come now, man, sing your song." Well, I know he going and come at me now because in the middle of the show, I interrupt the show because he was going to attack the lady minister. But that's inappropriate because in the UNC, we do what is right regardless. I could have sat there quietly and let him abuse her for his money that she owes. She's still owing all the Carrie Festa. But it was wrong. And the man looked at me. I ain't going to call his name, but he was going to give me some lyrics, eh? He could have sing a whole verse on me if he want. But I said, no. He said, he watched me good for about 8 seconds. He said, "Anil, sing my song." I said, "Yes, man, there's not the time and place for that, man. Go and see the minister in the office, sing your song, we come to hear Kaiso." He jumped back on the stage and he sing Kaiso. You know Dr. Guyan Gadsby Dolly, whatever she name is. Never even send a message to say, "Thanks, boy. I appreciate it." So there's a chalk and cheese difference. UNC have class, we have manners. So if something is wrong, we say it's wrong. You ever hear PNM say that email gate lie that for 6 years Rowley lie? You ever hear PNM say, "Oh God, Rowley, you're wicked, oh God, that is nastiness"? How you could lie on people so? You all ever heard that? Because it's chalk and cheese. So stop telling me UNC PNM same thing. Imagine a man stand up today and attack his own newspaper. The newspaper that I have proven to you all, the newspaper who print. When we cancelled the OBBs and won the arbitration, and the government under Kamala won $1.2 billion back, BAE had to pay us. The Guardian put government lose $1.2 billion. You ever see a retraction? Not a retraction, Guardian. Why, boy? I see only print one word wrong with Comina. Rowley personal lawyer who going to take care of the heritage oil, where all the information for AV and all of them fake oil thing that Kamala hold up, that Rowley send he lawyer there to see about that. And all you find that's okay. Because even if the lawyer finds something, he can't say nothing because Rowley is the client and he bound by client lawyer privilege. But all you say that good. Rowley attack his own paper today. Well, that is desperation. So understand, I didn't protect Coleman, but the principle is there are systems to communicate with ministers, and we cannot encourage wildness. Just run down, even though it's him, but even though you don't like him, but even though I don't like him, but even though I want to run down him, but yeah, yes, but you can't do it. It's wrong. Okay? Now, look at this next one. All you might say is Brian Lewis. I keep telling him over the years, Brian Lewis is a PNM boy. You're going in an independent position. You see, you have UNC, 350,000 votes. You have PNM, 300,000 votes. So if Anil talk, all you know is a UNC. No, the point is everything I talk here is fact. I don't have to lie on Rowley or Al Rawi or Small Pin. I don't have to lie on them. Them does lie on anybody and everybody at any time. However, in a country like that, those people who want to think and look at policy and make a decision to vote either yellow or red, who don't see African or Indian, who vote like the douglAR. You see me, I can't see African and I can't see Indian because I vote and I love all, right? They need to hear from the independent voices. So, Transparency International, it's song independent, it's official. But when you have my partner, Derek Murray, the greatest wicketkeeper of all time, as the president of Transparency International, and I find every time something happens with Kamala, he jump out in front of it, bad, this is the process, thing, all kind of thing. Whether it's true, false, or not, he even investigate, he rush the brush to comment. But every time something happens with Rowley, whether it's Al-Rawi, give himself, sit down in an attorney general and in the cabinet and give himself rent and outfitting to the total of $61 million. Me here no transparency, say nothing. When Franklin can, but die my wife building, but wife and husband is one, not so? Or they don't go and take 2 candles and light and make one big fat candle and say it's one, all of a sudden when it has $7 million, it's split. I ain't hear no Transparency International. I ain't hear no transparency when Rowley and Smallpin go to Australia and spend $2 billion. No board, no procurement, no tender committee, no cabinet, no nothing. Me ain't hear nothing. Next thing you know, I see my boy Derek Murray fly into a PNM board, and that wasn't good enough. They then make him shut down all the business and thing and send him Jamaica. He's a high commissioner of Jamaica under the PNM government. Now, don't get me wrong. Nothing is wrong with that. But you cannot accept an independent position when you know in your heart you are not independent. Right, Senator, PNM independent, Helen Drayton? Why don't write a column and criticize? I notice you're writing nothing now. You're staying quiet, Miss Independent Senator Helen Drayton, who swear on a Bible in the Senate, you know, that I am going to do my duty without fear or favor, malice or ill will, when you know you're a flipping PNM. We coming back.
Time. It waits for no one. Now is the time to transform our economy. Now is the time to get our nation back to work and create 50,000 sustainable jobs. This Thursday night, our economy is on the ballot live. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum live. Log on, tune in to the political leaders' plan to jumpstart the economy. This Thursday night, on the ballot live on this station, 7:30 p.m. Now is the time to create 50,000 sustainable jobs. Visit uncplan2020.com. Now is the time.
Join us as we prepare to get TNT working again.
This Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum. Now is the time.
So we back inside. So when you're in an independent position, but you fail to claim or to state your position, that is corrupt, that is unethical, that is immoral. Just like Mr. Brian Lewis. For years he's been in the Olympic Committee. The Olympic Committee is supposed to be a prestigious sporting body with no political ties domestically or internationally. In fact, the Olympic Charter does not, it prohibits political statements and so on. Remember in 68 when the 3 black athletes pop their hand with the black fist, they get blown out. Remember when there was issues with Bosnia-Herzegovina and men wanted to put, you cannot do that. This is Brian Lewis. All the thing Anil and Kamala do in sport. We bring in legislation for the Trinidad and Tobago anti-doping. Brian Lewis love it. He never say well done. He come and Anil do 82 grounds under Kamala, fix up nice for sport and make sure, fix up the gym, the Lennox Kilgore gym, all kind of thing in all the stadium, fix track in Dwight York Stadium or down the board, bring cycling, Velodrome, National Aquatic Center, Tennis Center, never comment, never Brian Lewis, the big independent president of the Olympic Committee, never say, well done Kamala, well done UNC. Anil increase the budget under Kamala went in cabinet and argue with them other 32 ministers to increase the PNM minuscule budget for sport from $10 million which Roger Boynes and Gary Hunt still used to send back 5 to the consolidated fund, to increase to 130 million to give out to sporting organizations across the board, all 49. Plus, all you will know, anybody right for a little sports day in the community, they get medals, trophies, and a 5,000 or a 10,000 for tent and DJ and food and ribbons and medals and things for the children. That was for the people. Brian Lewis and all the Olympic Committee had increased funding. Brian Lewis was in charge, involved with TT Pro League, and under Kamala, full support, not only for the Pro League Central Office and the CEO, but for each team was getting up to $83,000 per month to pay salaries. Brian Lewis never write an article and say, boy, Kamala, your government is showing a love for sport and putting your money where your mouth is. All of a sudden now, he's screening for PNM in Port of Spain South after pretending for the last 10 years to be independent. That is immoral. It is unethical. And not only that, PNM only really need the heat to go in sport. This is a man who tell you, we get 1 gold medal in 1976. Our first medal was 1948 in weightlifting. Rodney Wilkes. And then Lennox Kilgore and them in 52 and Wilkes again. In 1976, Hazy Crawford won our first gold medal in Montreal, Canada. We did not win another gold medal till Kamala say, Anil, that boy wants some javelins. Buy some javelins for Keshawn Walcott because he needs to train. The ministry bought 3 javelins for him at an average cost of $3,200 US. And 4 months later, the boy threw for gold for Trinidad and Tobago. Brian Lewis never say, well done, Kamala and Anil, for that proactive purchase for Keshawn Walcott to bring glory. You know what he come out and say after? With all the PNM dunderhead dunces? Oh, now we're going to win 10 gold medals. After 1962 to 2012 is how much? 50 years? In 50 years, we get 2 gold medals. This clown, Brian Lewis, say, hey, by 2024, we going and get 10 gold medals. Now, on what basis? What basis of science? What analysis of talent? What about coaching? What about funding? What about ability? What about genetics? You just pull a figure out the sky. Tell that to the population. And then in 2016, when the team start to crumble, and we making finals, but we not getting medals like when Anil and Kamala was there in 2012, the whole population get vexed. And then Brian Lewis said, but what are you getting vexed for? Making finals and semi-finals is good. But it's you tell the people, Mr. Brightspark, never coach nobody, don't know what it takes to make a gold medalist, don't know the effort, don't know the talent, don't know the genetics, don't know the diet, don't know the discipline, don't know the mental, don't know nothing. Tell me about 10 gold medals by 2024. Now you going to do what? Go in PNM to do what? Go in the Ministry of Sport and Mamakai people? I thought you wasn't a PNM. I don't know why being a PNM, all you're so shame, all you just keep it secret till the last minute, eh? Well, I UNC, watch me here. So, the Guardian, which Rowley attacked today, front page, constituents in Princestown, Barry hurt us. I set an article saying, Barry Padarat, who's out seeing about his child in pandemic, with Stuart Smallpin Young, closed down the border. His child is a U.S. citizen. Up to today in the papers, Stuart Young saying only Trinis could apply. And even when the Trinis apply, them are getting through. We know about the Barbados 33. We know about the 35 in Suriname. We know about the 19 in Margarita. We know about the 300 or 400 on the ships and the 6 that just reached back. But here it is, the Guardian attacking Barry Padarat, trying to show that the United National Congress does not care about its constituents. Well, I went back and searched. Because this man is seeing about his child. And you see, in the United National Congress, we believe fathers are very important in ensuring the success of children. And we, under Kamala, put funding into parental education, single mothers, helping them out, encouraging men not to make child and leave them, because that's a policy of Kamala. So Barry Padarat seeing about his little baby is extremely important. But Guardian, I went back and look. Maxi Coffee, SOB constituency. For 3 years and 9 months, me see a front page about, oh gosh, Maxi. Yes, he was sick, and nobody vexed that. People get sick, unfortunately. But he did not recover very fast, even after the $2.5 million in taxpayer money. He was unable to do his duty. It's sad, but therefore he should have been replaced because the people need service, the people need water, the people need jobs, the people need to see the MP. Guardian, I went back and checked. Not one article you put. So a man missing from his constituency for 3.5 years. Only put no article. Barry Padarat, who is not allowed to come back because your small pin locked down the borders. And his child is a U.S. citizen. Seeing about the child, all you're trying to insinuate that Barry Padarat and the UNC don't take care of their constituents when the people of Caranage, Kumana, Westmoreland, Bayshore, Shorelands, Goodwood Park, they may see Rowley in our office for 4.5 years. Only those who see him on the golf course or those who is CEO and have goods and services for procurement could see he. But all you do that, and then Rowley attack you all. But it's good. I see that Dr. Lovell Francis, he like to call people dunce, you know. I still asking what he's a doctor of. Because I think he is Dr. Dunce. Every time he says something, he have to attack somebody. This time, he's saying, hey peeps, after UNC come and take his seat, Gypsy take his seat, me I even think Gypsy have a PNM card. Gypsy, where your card? I know you're watching. Show your boy, show Anil your card now. Because you just tell me you use not just in Carnival. Carnival was just the other day. You tell me he's not a PNM Anil. Gypsy, give me a chance and go and sing a kaiso. Sing a good kaiso now. Hey peeps, Devon Mirage is an imbecile. You really feel you should be somebody to call people imbecile? A promoter buy you a ticket to go and look. You and your wife, you go and stay in hotel. They buy VIP ticket. You go on in party, drink scotch and had shrimps. And then come back and tell we, let we put a stage in the big waves in Maracas during the period when the waves are the biggest between November and March. So you going to put a stage in the sea for the waves to lick it down, people to get electrocuted, and my Trini, 82% of we who cannot swim, to drink Hennessy, rum and punching, and drown in the beach, and you calling people imbecile? That's why Rowley are even picking for your own seat. And you're saying how you work so hard as an MP and a Minister of Education. Please tell me one thing you did in education in 4.5 years, Dr. Dunce Lovell Francis. Please tell me. Because Kamala had laptop, you ain't give her laptop. Kamala had extra 45 million per year in school feeding, you cut that. So the children, you couldn't even give them a lentil, peas and rice. Under you in 2018, 814 children, of which 800 were young black boys, got 0 in SCA. What did you do? Tim Gopi Singh built 106 school. You in the ministry for 4.5 years, you have built a school. The textbook grant, Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala had $133 million to buy textbook for poor people. You get that cut down to 33 million and a father get locked up for thieving textbook in Muhammad's bookstore. Imagine that. A man ain't gone and thief gold, you know. He ain't thief money, he ain't thief car, he ain't thief bling, he ain't thief alcohol. The man gone with his child bookless under all your heartless Lovell Francis, Dr. Dunce minister in the Ministry of Education. The man gone with the child bookless and thieving book and get locked up because of you. And you calling people dunce? Who you is a doctor of? Now again, fed up at this, eh? I don't know what everybody could just call themselves doctor. We have Dr. Winford James and Dr. Bishnu Raghunath saying now the government gets full marks on COVID. Okay. The way I remember it, to be a doctor, you have to be good in sciences, biology, maybe a little physics, or chemistry, definitely chemistry and so on. And in between there, you would do some statistics and understand scientific principles. You may do a course in research and development, testing, and when you go in the lab, they tell you how you get a meaningful result and so on. If the norm, and this I don't know how to say it again, because I don't know what is wrong with our population. If the normal amount of data necessary to make an adequate curve that can give you some basis to analyze and create come to a conclusion on what you are doing, how to do it, and whether you're doing a good job or a bad job. That international standard benchmark is 3% of the population. 3% of 1 million is 30,000. 3% of 400,000 might be what? Add on another 8,000. So you need, for a minimum, 38,000 tests. 38,000. The PNM, Rowley and Convent-Kial Dial Singh, who calling people in the middle of COVID to meet here in Mount Lambert. Well, you know who go meet here in Mount Lambert? Hunt. The hunt is on. I'll go meet here in Mount Lambert when the time comes. You test less than 3,000 people. You're 35,000 people short of a curve. And y'all are discussing as big intelligent people and media personnel and editorials that we flatten the curve. How we don't have a curve. So how we know it flat, it wrong, it big, it went Venezuela like Shamfa to start to look good. We don't have a curve. We like a straight pin. We like small pin. There is no curve. So what is Dr. Winford PNM James and Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, who only know when UNC says something out of time? Anytime the UNC might make a statement on the platform that he find out at time, well, that did not conform to the norms of what we signed to the ethical statements on platform. But when Rowley get up there and all the people start to talk all kind of nonsense, and Rowley ball about recalcitrant minority, the most racist statement in the last 20 years of politics, or the Calcutta ship, or any kind of Heinz telling me we is like, what, I don't even know what we is. But Heinz, you should be the last one looking like that with your pumpsy rasta self, but you shouldn't criticize nobody because anything in a lagoon look better than you. So Dr. Bishnu Raghunath and Dr. Winford James, please, or some scientist out there, some statistician, a professor, let me try it this way. I am saying to you that we do not have a curve. We have not had a curve. The testing is so woeful that we have no scientific basis to say or to create any sort of curve. We have not tested, and therefore we have no information to determine whether it had COVID, it didn't have COVID, or whether COVID it may know soul. I am asking any scientist who brighter than me, obviously, as somebody with statistics, a professor, somebody who does research, a doctor, somebody put on Facebook that Anil the douglAR talking stupidness, and that 3,000 tests is by far and away sufficient to create a mapping, modeling logic for our COVID response. Please show me that I'm wrong, because this bag of nonsense every time, I blame my mother, When we growing up in the 70s and thing, my mother used to say, when we looking on Curtis Mattis TV, switch off the TV and go and read the papers. If all you want to be bright, go and read the papers, It didn't have Newsday then. It only had Guardian and Express. Every time I read these papers these days, I feel I get more dotisha. We coming back.
Time. It waits for no one. Now is the time to transform our economy. Now is the time to get our nation back to work and create 50,000 sustainable jobs. This Thursday night, our economy is on the ballot live. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum live. Log on, tune in to the political leaders' plan to jumpstart the economy. This Thursday night, on the ballot live on this station, live 7:30 p.m. Now is the time to create 50,000 sustainable jobs. Visit uncplan2020.com. Now is the time.
Join us as we prepare to get TNT working again.
This Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum. Live. Now is the time. Time. It waits.
And we welcome back to douglAR Politics. So you see, the bacchanal start already. And the newspapers have a way that they obfuscate. They just move along with Rowley. So here in the Express, again, an article saying, boost for Seabridge. High-speed catamaran coming. Excitement. Now, don't get me wrong. The boat is going to be fantastic. In Cat and Hostal, they build very good vessels. This is not the point, you know. It's going to look good. The engine going to be good. It's going to be perfect for the conditions because Hostal and Incat know their business and so on. It's going to be painted nice. It's going to be shiny. It's going to be comfortable. That's not the point. The point is that they have just skipped past the point that Keith Christopher Rowley, the man of landed fame where gravel rolled from by hospital to somewhere by he. The man of sheep farm without EIA and certificate. The man of email gate. The man of HDC and Chinese contract. The man of fuel gate. The man who say that Gary Griffith is the commissioner of police but still say that he have case to answer. It didn't reach the benchmark for charges. But that something about conspiracy to murder in email gate. He's still saying that is true, but he appoint the man commissioner of police. So you appoint a man who you believe in your heart conspire to kill somebody to put them in charge of all our safety, and all you want to vote for that, I tell you, you need 5 blue tablets. 2 in the morning and 3 in the evening. So the issue on the boats, the sea bridges, that Rowley and his government, for a period of 109 weeks, systematically created a disaster, an emergency, by sending home the Canadians, putting the Sarabai of a board member of the PNM to handle maintenance of the Express and Spirit, shut down the sea bridge, give people barge to put a van and truck on. It's still rusting. So much salt water all up in people, banana and tomato going across Tobago. Bring Cobostar Ocean Stem. The Ocean Stem never even reached. Cobostar still running crooked money. Then put a board, scuttle 4 different tenders. Anybody knows when you scuttle a tender, that's a red flag for corruption. Rowley scuttle a tender, say the board didn't find no boat. When Devon Maraj went and applied, he see from the Freedom of Information, they had 9 boats, of which 4 were from the same Sea Jets company, the boat built by Incat. On top of that, they went and purchased 2 Cutlass vessels for the Defense Force without the Defense Force asking them for it. What Rowley know about defense? The only defense he know about is back in 1969 when he went around the lady fence to go buy his daughter. That is what defense he know about. I go tell all about that next week. Don't get up and don't talk no jokey thing, right? Serious thing. But they're moving around to tell us so that when this vessel arrives, we'll be so excited. We will want to drink rum and soda, and we will want to party and eat doubles. But what about the procurement? What about Munilal? What the man name? He was on a PNM board before, but some regulator procurement. Munilal Lalchan. You draws in salary for 2 years. What is your opinion on that? You have any comment? That Rowley and Stuart Young go down to Australia, meet with CEOs, tell them, give me 2 proposals, and hand it to Stuart Smallpin Young. Stuart Smallpin Young then host the committee to analyze the tender, advise Rowley, he brethren, that, hey, we going so, give 1 each, because I done call a company and tell them drop the price. So therefore, hand 1. And y'all say, Kamla, UNC thief, and... But coming to tell me, oh, the sea bridge is going to get a boost. In all the accomplishments of Kamla Prasad says I have home so. All you just wonder about how the douglAR know all the things. I read through all the things. I can tell all you what we do in science and tertiary under Fazal Karim. I can tell you what we do under former UNC, now PNM Vassant. struggling to find himself Bharat. I can tell you what we do in transport under Devan Maharaj when PTSC buses was moving smooth. What we do at HDC with Munilal and Jerlin John. I can tell all the house we build. I can tell you what Tim Gopi Singh do, because you have to learn what you're part of. But you know, we never put running the sea bridge as an accomplishment. We thought that is normal. That is Sokai thing. But we should have put it down, because under this government they cut off Tobagonian, and the man is a Tobagonian. Think about that. If you treat your own like that, what about the rest of all here? And all you're getting ready to put on red jersey, the people who should really be PNM. You see Angus Young, boy, he should be PNM for 50 more years. Richard Young, Stuart Smallpin Young, Faris, Johnny Sukaran Al-Rawi, Franklin Khan, Kwame Na, Newman George, them should be PNM from now till them dead. But not you, they take your laptop. Not you, they take your textbook. Not you, with a special needs child, they take your grant. Not you, they take your school feeding. Not you, they take your fuel subsidy. Hey, talking fuel subsidy. Boy, Archie, I have a little video there with Coleman Buddy. As you talk fuel subsidy, line up that video with Coleman, but I now understand this. When all the
price of fuel by 15%. I then realized that was not enough. I came back again in April and I raised it again by 15%. And I came back again just a few weeks ago and raised it by another 15%. They haven't rioted yet. So I might raise it by another 15% in April of next year.
Yes. Call me, but well done. Now let me tell you all something. I was looking for a little paper. I did a little calculation for you all, you know. Because I was lucky to be in meetings with the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa when she was Prime Minister. And she, on 4 occasions that I was lucky to be in the meeting, those same prima donnas from the Ministry of Finance who don't like poor people, they came to Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her government. And they made a presentation that stated that the fuel subsidy being offered to the population was too expensive and that it needed to be cut in order to allow the government to make decisions in spending the money differently, because it was just too much. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa would sit down, she would listen very carefully. And when they were finished with their presentation, which lasted between 40 minutes and an hour and 5 minutes, she would ask them the same question on 4 occasions, 20, 11, 12, 13, and 14, that I was lucky enough to sit in the meeting. She asked them, ladies and gentlemen, do you all believe that the resources of this country belong to each and every citizen of the country? They say, She said, I don't understand what is Am I not speaking clearly? She said, do you all believe that the oil and gas and all the resources that are abundant in this country belong to the people? They said, yes, Prime Minister, yes. She said, well, if you believe so, please tell me a better means of distributing these scarce resources in an equitable fashion to each and every citizen. They said, ma'am, y'all are not understanding the question. She said, let me explain. Whether you have a car or not, whether you drive or not, whether you take taxi or not, whether whatever you are, once you are born, whether you are a baby in a mommy's belly or 100 years old, you benefit as a citizen from the fuel subsidy. Because even if you don't have a car, transport costs are low, so food prices are lower, manufactured goods are lower, household items are lower, therefore you benefit. If you own a car, you benefit. The transportation cost is lower, maxi taxi price stay down. All of these things are beneficial to every citizen. And when she finished, she said, because I believe that, I will not touch the fuel subsidy. She did that on 4 occasions. Call me, but come in on email gate, lie. And the first thing he did was cut the subsidy. Play the video again, because I want all you to hear it. Listen to Call Me But, and then I will work the maths for all you. Play it, Archie.
increased the price of fuel by 15%. I then realized that was not enough. I came back again in April and I raised it again by 15%. And I came back again just a few weeks ago and raised it by another 15%. They haven't rioted yet. So I might raise it by another 15% in April of next year.
Now let me show you all what is so funny, right? So Kamla Prasad Bisesa, from 2010 May to September 2015, refused to remove the subsidy for 5 years and 4 months. Colmimbot move it and he boasts 3 times, 4 times, okay. Understand this. Colmimbot has taxed each and every one of you, whether it is UNC, PNM, undecided, don't care about politics, don't like politics, every single citizen has been taxed by Colmimbot over the last 4 years and 9 months to the tune of this. Let's be conservative now, okay? He took off the fuel subsidy 15%, 15%, 15%. Y'all didn't riot and he came with an next 15%. Fisherman can't even get regular gas. Them have to try and look for fish close. They can't go far. Okay. I'm going to take a conservative figure of $100 per week that Colmimbot charge y'all for your own gas more than Kamla. And over that period, that's 50 months. It's $800 a month on average for each one of you. By 50 months, follow me there, follow the maths. There are approximately 500,000 cars in Trinidad and Tobago. So the total that Colmimbot has taxed you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in the last 50 months is $10 billion. $10 billion out of your pocket, each and every one, whether it is Balize and Rice, whether it is UNC, whether you're independent, whether it's man, woman, child, in between, good looking, ugly, Pomsete, Rasta, any religion, $10 billion Colmimbot has taken from you in the last 50 months. And during that same period, Kamla Prasad Bisesa would have taken 0. But PNM and UNC is the same, man. Politics is a football game. You're either a red jersey or a yellow jersey. I think not. Let's talk about this now. So Tobagonians, my people of Tobago, my father is a Tobagonian. Look at how you all look at yourselves. And when the douglAR finish, all you're going to be scratching your head. Because my father is one proud Tobagonian. Eh? He went in 1980 and buy house with his bright, intelligent self in the white people neighborhood in Newberry Hill. First black man to buy house up there. Now Rowley and them live in Goodwood Park and thing. Ken Gordon, who went and eat scones with Rowley before Hillgate, he come through after and so on. My father was the very first, okay? But the difference is, he maintained his pride in who he is, where he come from, what he look like, and how he move and how he like people. So I know that Tobagonians are proud people, but I am confused, my people from Tobago, and I hope my boy Watson Duke, please tell me you're watching this. Keith Christopher Rowley and Stuart Smallpin Young were going to give Butch, who don't look like Rowley and don't look like all your Afro-Trinbagonians, since all your, the douglAR could talk race, because they don't mean nothing to me, but I want to explain it to all you. The white Jamaican man, Rowley and Smallpin, was going to give him 400 million of no man's land at the value. $1 billion US to build his hotel. Customs duties on alcohol, no PAYE, and a tax holiday of between 10 to 20 years. Let me forget all the other things except the $1 billion US that Rowley was going to borrow from local banks at an average rate of 5.1 to 6% interest per annum. $1 billion US, 7 billion US for one man, for one hotel, for 1,000 rooms. That work out to about 1 million TT per room. And then Rowley now looks at all of you 55,000 Tobagonians, his black brothers and sisters. They are much Indian in Tobago. They had one Indian boy, he topped the SCA. Me, I know why. The one Indian in Tobago win SCA. All you, me, what do you want the douglAR say? Great is the PNM. They go make all our we dance. So one white man was going to get in Tobago $7 billion for his hotel. Rowley come and tell all you, all 55,000 all you share 50 million TT. And all you say, okay boss, yes boss, thank you boss. Massa, could we have that massa? And you all now fighting on how to divide up the 50 million. Which small guest house should get what, and which big hotel should get what, and where you should cap it off at 800,000 per big hotel or 1.5 million. Let me tell you something. At 4,000 rooms, that work out to 12,000 TT per room. What all you going to do with 12,000 TT? You're going to fix the toilet and paint? What room you could refurbish? But the butch, the rich man, the rich white man, the rich Rowley, who Rowley like a lime within Goodwood Park, he was going to get 1 million US per room. All your Tobagonian fighting up for 12,000 per room and trying to see who to divide up the 50 million. I am telling you now, give the Tobagonians this 1 billion US, let them divide it up, make all the rooms come up in this time to 5-star rooms, so that when COVID vaccination reach, we will be in a head start for tourism. But all your Tobagonians, Rowley beat all your pride out of you. You know what it takes to beat the pride out of Tobagonian? All you really serious? I'm telling all you, I'm a half Tobagonian, but half of me feeling shame. All you arguing for pittance. One man was going to get 7 billion. All you fighting up for 50 million and begging. Come now, Tobagonian. All you tell me it ain't so. Tell me it ain't true. We coming back, and just now, the UNC on the ballot right after douglAR politics. Stay locked on. We coming back.
Time. It waits for no one. Now is the time to transform our economy. Now is the time to get our nation back to work and create 50,000 sustainable jobs. This Thursday night, our economy is on the ballot live. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum live. Log on, tune in to the political leaders' plan to jumpstart the economy. This Thursday night, on the ballot live on this station, 7:30 p.m. Now is the time to create 50,000 sustainable jobs. Visit uncplan2020.com. Now is the time.
Join us as we prepare to get TNT working again.
This Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. The United National Congress Virtual Campaign Forum. Live. Now.
Oh Lord, the douglAR running out of time. We're getting ready for UNC on the ballot, the second virtual political meeting. Let me tell you something. Fitzgerald Pumsite Rasta Hines, he get a Kobo sweat as a Minister of Public Utilities because LeHunt resigned. And when I told you on last episode, I read out this list of people who contact me. I not no MP, I nothing, I not the douglAR. And from Kucharan Trace, Gasparillo, Londonville, Glencoe, Bucara Road, Brazil, Petit Valley, Lavanti, Maracas Valley, St. Joseph, Ojo Road, Sangre Mayaro, Pinal Debe, Barakpo, Arima, Pasa Diego Martin, no water, San Rafael, Esperance, Manzanella, Malabar Phases 1, 3, and 4, no water, Tumpuna Road, Greenvale, Laoketa, Orapun Gardens, Golden Grove Road, Freeport, El Socorro, Setenera, Piaco, Congo, all of these people no water. You know what Pumsite Rasta say? All you exaggerate. That's what he tell all you. And all you going and vote for he again? He have no shame and shouting at people and saying that they exaggerate. Anyway, let me move on. I'm running out of time. Now my boy JW. JW, listen to me and let me go easy with you. Because you're a neophyte and I don't like to bully people, okay? You now reach. JW, if you're going to speak in the Senate, do the work. Research your own things. Make your own speech. Do not just regurgitate the nonsense that they're going to give you. Let me start with number one. You said that the UNC government stopped the OPVs in 2011. JW, the OPVs did not function, you clown. No, sorry. I said I'm going easy. Let me go easy. JW, the information coming from BA contracts, the OPVs are slow-moving vessels. In order to interdict and to fight crime with fast-moving drug-running boats and gun-running boats, it requires a laser-targeting computer firing system. That did not function. The government under Kamala gave BAE 14 extra months to try and make it function. The guns weren't working, so we did not buy it because it did not work. You don't understand that? Are you going to buy a Ferrari with a B13 engine? JW? Are you going to buy Palance and tell me it sounds like Bob Marley? Are you going to do that? So give me a rest. If you don't know what you're talking about, rest yourself, sit down quiet in the Senate and be happy to be there in the air condition. He then went on second point. He said that is real failure. As far as I'm concerned, from my colleagues on the other side, games are being played. That was with the bail amendment bill. JW may not have read the standing orders yet, but normally when you have issues to be debated, they're on the order paper, and a normal, proper chief whip or leader of government business will talk to the chief whip on the other side, give them advance notice to say, we are going to debate this bill and that bill. You did not do that. Your PNM are full of skull. You come in the morning and say you're going to debate a bill, and the UNC said, no, we have not prepared. Secondly, you took out the sunset clause, which the year before the UNC had a problem with, and you put it back in because you know the UNC had a problem with it. So if you don't know, JW, shh. We flip-flopped, or you said, on the appointment of a police commissioner, but it's Kamala Prasad Bisesa who appointed the Canadian police commissioner after the PNM and Manning went through a 6-year process to come to it. You understand? But I'll go deal with you later next week, Tuesday, for you, because we're going right now. We're getting ready to cross to the United National Congress, with the featured speaker being the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. douglAR out.
Live from the United National Congress social space. This is the virtual campaign on the ballot. Tonight, social justice is on the ballot. Sustainable jobs is on the ballot. Integrity is on the ballot. Truth is on the ballot. On the ballot. The time is now. We now have the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago, followed by a prayer with Senator Anita Haynes.
Almighty God, we offer our prayers to you and seek your protection for everyone in our blessed country. We pray, O God, for you to protect us from harm and sickness so that we may have the strength to look after one another. O merciful Lord, we pray that you will continue to bless our land and those who cultivate our crops so that there may always be food. We pray that no one will ever go hungry. Grant us understanding, equal vision, and balanced minds. Guide us along a path of faith, devotion, and wisdom. Help us to recognize that each of us is equal, that we are all equal in humanity. Give us your protection so that we may live in safety together and grow strong and free together. We pray that everyone will find love and peace in their daily lives. Dear God, we pray for our political leader. We pray for members of this team. Protect them, God, and give them the strength and courage to continue their service to our nation without fear or favor. Thank you, God, for keeping your children free in our democratic state, where every creed and race finds an equal place. Dear God, we beseech you to bless our leaders, bless our people, and bless our country.
Father God, it's me again. Father God, it's me, your son again. Father,
This is the virtual campaign on the ballot. Why wait? The time is now.
God inside, Father God, I made them fight me so hard. I look at things to me.
Live from the United National Congress social space. On the ballot now, Marsha Walker Riley.
God, them get no reward. No.
Honorable political leader, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and to all of the listening public, Trinidad and Tobago, good evening. I have missed you. I have missed my UNC family. But on behalf of my husband and myself, I'd like to thank you for giving me the time off. We brought a baby girl into this world, and she is dressed in yellow, ready to fight another beautiful UNC family member. What a fight it will be. This administration has done a fine job at spinning the facts, distracting the population, and exaggerating any and every so-called success that they may have had. We must give credit where credit is due, though. Somehow the PNM has mastered getting back into power, twisting the truth and keeping us chasing that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But let us be very clear. That is exactly what it is. A fairy tale, a myth, a treasure that does not exist and will never exist under the People's National Movement. We need only take our country's figures and lay them next to those of Singapore's, a country that became independent in the same year as Trinidad and Tobago, a country that had no obvious natural resources, less than 20% the size of our islands combined, but somehow they have surpassed us in every single area of economic development. A true indictment to a party that has governed us for 41 out of the 57 years that we have been independent. A country flowing with natural resources, but sorely lacking with consistent, proper governance over the years. Let me tell you a story of how a volcanologist became the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. In 1981, he ran for office, but he lost. The people of Tobago rejected him. But in true PNM style, those that the citizens reject are the very ones the administration takes and favors. So 10 years later, they handed him a safe seat. And for the last 29 years, regardless of performance, the kind-hearted, forgiving people of Diego Martin West kept giving him a chance. Even when his own political leader called him a raging bull, we gave him another chance. Because you know, the Bible says forgive 70 times 7. Let's see how Dr. Rowley has operated as NP over the last 29 years. In 1991, when he took office, he probably blamed the past administration for his lack of performance that time. In his second term, I am sure he blamed the UNC. By his third term, when he still had nothing to show, he most likely blamed Manning because, you know, poor leadership. By the fourth term, still nothing to show. So you know what he do? Blame Kamla. Now that he's in his fifth term and he's the Prime Minister, he has all the resources and he still has nothing to show in Diego Martin West, you know what he's still doing? He's still blaming Kamla. 5 terms as the MP for Diego Martin West, and up the hill in Big Yard, they saw water once. You know who was responsible for that? Yes, Dr. Rowley. This one you could blame Kamla for. She get them water up the hill. You know who you could blame for Diego Martin interchange that helped curb traffic? That's one you could blame Kamla for. You know about the health center in Carenage? Yes, Dr. Rowley. Let me blame Kamla for that one too. In fact, she's the one responsible for the children's hospital sitting fully equipped just for you to sweep in, ready to use. Some may say that you handled COVID well. I personally don't agree. But for argument's sake, let's go with that story. You know what that tells me? It tells me that your administration always possessed the ability to steer and rescue a so-called sinking ship with so-called empty treasuries. All that says to me is that your administration had the capacity to perform under dire circumstances, but you chose not to. Instead, you chose to tell people, tighten their belts and eat cassava. I have to ask you, Dr. Rowley, where was all this brain power for the last 4 years? Is it that you always had a star team, but simply lacked the care to perform because you take your supporters for granted? Where was the science to develop and implement a strategic plan for crime? How is it that your ace Minister of Health could perk up in an election year and apparently save the country from a worldwide pandemic, but for the last 4 years, our women were making babies on staircases, corridors, and anywhere else they could find? How come prescription drugs were not available? Long waiting lists for surgeries, impossible time frames for special needs to be diagnosed, and the list of failures in the health sector goes on and on and on. Where was the genius then? How is it that the same Prime Minister that wasn't able to raise employment, raise our GDP, or fix our forex problem, all of a sudden, he is the chairman for the recovery team? Don't be fooled, my dear citizens. If indeed this administration has handled COVID successfully, and I may say that is far from facts, but again, let's give them the benefit of the doubt for argument's sake. All this proves to me, Dr. Rowley, is that your administration lacked nothing in their first year of government, in their first 4 years of governance. And rather than working for the people that voted them in, they chose to serve their friends, their family, and their finances. And as usual, thought so little about our intelligence that they figured they could get away with one strategy: blame Kamla strategy. Well, enough is enough. The lies and the games have gone on for far too long. The gross disrespect for the people of Trinidad and Tobago must stop now. No longer will you enslave us for 4 years and try to wow us just before elections. The abuse must end. Only abusers beat you up 6 days a week and bring you flowers and chocolates on day 7 with every intention of repeating the pattern once given the chance. It is time to pack your bags. We will not accept your abuse any longer. Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, it is time. When abusers do not leave gracefully, you open the door and throw their things out. Pack your bags, Dr. Rowley. The door has been opened. You have overstayed your welcome. Call elections now. It is time. Your administration have failed. It is time to get out, and it is time to stay out. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to fighting alongside you to save our beloved country and to give the next generation a fighting chance with the United National Congress. Good night.
Father God, it's me again. It's me again. Father. Yeah. Father God, I make them fight me so hard.
Live from the United National Congress social space. On the ballot now, the Member of Parliament for Naparima, Rodney Charles.
Political leader of the United National Congress, my UNC family, friends and well-wishers. Today, I listened to a prime minister at a post-cab meeting trying to wing it through questions on foreign policy. And as he ducked, and as he danced, and as he pranced, I saw hate. I saw acrimony when they asked him questions. I saw bitterness. I saw a prime minister completely out of control. Today, under this Rowley administration, we have a foreign policy without rhyme or reason, guided neither by logic nor common sense. The PNM, for example, supports Maduro because they say the UN recognizes him. But the UN says on its website that it does not have the authority to recognize states and nations. Where do they cook up their stories, my friends? We are literally in a global wilderness due to their incompetence, due to their arrogance, what we call powerful stupidness, and lack of diplomacy. They have surrendered CARICOM leadership. They have put us at odds with our main trading partners, the EU, the UK, Canada, and the United States. Their foreign policy regarding Venezuela has made our country the center of criticism, isolated regionally, and we are at odds with at least 16 major regional jurisdictions, including the United States, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, the Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Haiti. They have, for whatever reason, provoked an open verbal war with the United States, which is unprecedented in our history. An unnecessary war. Yes, we have had our differences in the past with the United States, but diplomacy always prevailed. The U.S. ambassador recently had cause to correct the Minister of National Security because Minister Young apparently misunderstood and misreported what was said at a meeting. Prior to that, we had a Prime Minister taking umbrage in Parliament to the utterances of a resident U.S. ambassador. Imagine the U.S. Embassy had to send a list of sanctioned individuals, vessels, and institutions in Venezuela and remind Rowley that Delcy Rodriguez is subject to travel restrictions that are binding on all Rio Treaty parties, inclusive of Trinidad and Tobago. And now we have Minister Moses, who is saying that list or no list, Trinidad and Tobago is not bound by recent decisions made under the Rio Treaty, which we have been a signatory to for the past 53 years. In other words, he is telling the population of Trinidad and Tobago and the world that if they want to invite Delcy Rodriguez, they will. And the U.S. can do what it wants. Or, as MP Camille Robinson Reggie said, what Trump could do with? That is apparently the PNM's government's foreign policy. Cost everybody, badge on, pavement politics. What Trump could do with? Why is that necessary in the world of global diplomacy? A government and a foreign policy totally out of control. We say from the onset that the UNC is in no way asking for sanctions to be placed on any individual or any collectivity in Trinidad and Tobago. But what we demand from this government is strategic thinking, logic, and common sense in our foreign policy. It serves no one's interest to engage in a war of words with our major trading partners. I don't know about those in the PNM, but it is uncomfortable for us in the UNC to be in company of individuals who are sanctioned and accused of human rights abuses, drug trafficking, terrorism, or transnational organized crime. And no matter what Rowley says, we are bound by the Rio Treaty and accompanying sanctions based on the following investigations: identifying, investigating, and prosecuting current and former Maduro government officials who have participated in acts of corruption and or serious human rights abuses, freezing of individual assets, and creating a network of financial intelligence and public security units to coordinate investigations into criminal activity linked to the Maduro government. That is who they're bosom friends. That is where we reach in foreign policy politics. As my grandmother would say, we reach. We can only hope that the PNM administration has not renounced the Rio Treaty. In fact, I heard at the post-cabinet that we have not renounced, which is the only way we can avoid being governed by the sanctioned regime. The implications of which would be that in the event, if we leave the Rio Treaty, in the event that we are attacked for whatever reason and whenever, we will not have the support of our regional neighbors because there's no treaty to click in to give us automatic support. We can only recall the experiences of Guyana. Guyana have territorial issues with neighboring Venezuela, and Belize with Guatemala. If we get in a similar situation, we are all alone. That is what Rowley is doing to us, isolating us from our regional friends. So Rowley and his administration are setting us up for an unnecessary challenges based on their unexplained and excessive embrace of Maduro. We call on Dr. Rowley to answer the following questions. 1, what was the true nature of the meeting with Delcy Rodriguez? Who attended and what were the outcomes? 2, given statements by Minister Moses, has his government renounced the treaty in writing, and if so, when? And if you have not, you cannot criticize the Rio Treaty as vehemently as you do and still remain a member. Either you're in or you're out. The third question, what was the nature of the discussions between the U.S. ambassador and the Prime Minister? And if areas of concern were discussed, were those issues resolved? Fourth question for Dr. Rowley. If they were resolved, why did Minister Moses bring up this confrontational Rio Treaty issue in the Senate and take a controversial position on it? Our foreign policy, ladies and gentlemen, does not make sense. 5. So if we do not adhere to the Rio Treaty, if Delcy Rodriguez were to request a visit tomorrow, would Rowley accept it, given that his administration has stated unequivocally that it does not recognize resulting sanctions and is not bound by the treaty? So, she invites, we're not bound by the treaty, so we let her come in. And what Trump could do, not that we inviting or asking, but we should not be provoke our friends to anger and to wrath. And the last question, when will the Prime Minister give our foreign policy a life raft and fire Minister Moses so that sanity, clarity, strategic thinking can inform our dealings with our international partners? This Rowley administration has failed, is failing, and will continue to shortchange our country. He must call elections now so that we can return to peace, tranquility, and good governance under the leadership of Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Father God, it's me again. It's me again. Yeah. Father God, I made them fight me so hard.
Live from the United National Congress Social Space. On the ballot now, the Member of Parliament for Pointe-à-Pitre, Dr. David Lee.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, tonight, regardless of your religious beliefs, your economic, social, academic, or racial background, we are all united as one people, burdened by the grim state of affairs of our nation and deeply concerned about the future of this great country. Therefore, as a people, we must unite and say, now is the time to end the national betrayal. As a dynamic, strong people, we must realize that now is the time to stand against this reckless, heartless, incompetent, unpatriotic governance of this Rowley regime. Presently, many of our citizens are facing hardships as never seen before. But while this government may look to blame that hardship on COVID-19, it is important that we know there is something that poses a greater danger to the people of this nation than COVID. It is the Rowley regime. This Prime Minister and his team would like you to believe that this hardship and national crisis began with COVID-19. The Prime Minister and his team would like you to forget all the wrongs, failed policies, and acts of neglect which they dished out on the people of this country for the last 5 years. But the people of this nation must never forget. They must never forget over 50,000 jobs have been lost before COVID-19. They must never forget hundreds of businesses closed before COVID-19. Petrotrin was destroyed before COVID-19. Food prices increased consistently over the last 5 years. Shortage of foreign exchange began before COVID-19. This Rowley regime has done more harm to the economic and social well-being to this nation than COVID-19. The destruction and descent into a failed nation state didn't begin with the start of COVID-19. It began on September 7, 2015, when Rowley took over this country. While this country was taken up with COVID-19, And while all of us were on lockdown, this government opted to undertake some of the most unpatriotic acts concerning our energy sector. One day after the Venezuelan Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, and top officials from the Venezuelan oil company PDVSA visited Trinidad and Tobago on March 27th, Paria entered into a contract with ES Euro Shipping and a company owned by one Wilmer Ruperti, a man known for his close ties with the Maduro regime. Was this a coincidence or not? According to the Trinidad Guardian on May 26, 2020, Paria Chairman Newman George said he was contacted by Euro Shipping on March 28 for this transaction. However, the same report stated that lawyers who worked within Petrotrin noted that matters like these, even spot sales, usually don't even include the general manager. It is just the sales team. So it was really unusual that the chairman and general manager was involved. So why was the chairman involved? Was he instructed to get involved? The question must be asked as to why wasn't any red flags raised by Paria when, according to the Trinidad Guardian article on May 26, a company with Venezuelan ties approached an independent contractor right here in Trinidad to service the vessel MT Alden while it was in Trinidad. The article goes on to state that not only did Paria continue with the deal, but despite the red flags, it did not attach any amendments to the contract at that time. We must ask, why did Paria not put up the sanction clause in at this time or stop the contract? Paria admitted in a public statement, May 19, that it was only when the issues came to the public domain brought out by the UNC opposition that they included the sanction clause within the contract after April 23rd. However, according to the Trinidad Guardian on May 26, the former president of Petrotrin and a former president of Petrotrin and head of marketing stated that these clauses were always parts of their contracts. So the question has to be asked, why was the sanction clause initially left out? Was it that Paria knew the real destination of that fuel? When the public learned of the switch in the destination for the fuel, the government tried to defend Paria by saying the fuel was now going to Aruba. However, the Aruban government has since said that not only did they not have any deal with Trinidad and Tobago, but the vessel MT Alden never entered their waters. Now the MT Alden, the vessel, since loading in Trinidad and Tobago on April 21st, has gone offline and cannot be found. The question has to be asked, where did the fuel really ended up? Given that the chairman of Paria was heavily involved in this transaction, why has he gone silent or updated the state of affairs of this matter? What action will Paria be taken on this clear breach of contract by ES Euro Shipping? The government and Paria must tell this population what was the price that they sold this fuel and how payments were made. Tonight, the people of Trinidad and Tobago must know that besides the business sector being in chaos, this Rowley regime has also led the destruction to our national energy sector. 5 years ago, they promised the people of this nation a more vibrant energy sector. But this was all lies, as 5 years later, our energy sector is in the worst state it has ever been. For the first time, so many plants right in Point Lisas have been idle. Downstreamers like Proman, Metanex, Nutrien have all halted operations on all their plants. As a people, we must not be fooled into thinking that this is a result of the economic downturn or COVID-19, but rather it has been a result of our energy sector becoming increasingly unattractive due to lack of incentives and innovations by this administration. Under the People's Partnership Administration, we had a vibrant energy sector, while through incentives of the Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, provided billions in revenue and foreign exchange and jobs. Today, we have an energy sector which is losing investors on a yearly basis. As we have seen, Yara, Mittal, Methanol Holdings, all close their plants in the last 5 years. Tonight, I tell the people of this nation, if we do not stand up against this Rowley government, it will only get worse, as the lies they have told the population are only now becoming clear, as they have thoroughly endangered the economic well-being of our nation. This government has made a mockery of our energy sector. Another key aspect that the next Kamla Persad-Bissessar regime will undertake is to work with private investors to re-establish an iron and steel industry at the Point Lisa Industrial Estate. And she will also, based on our national economic transformation, we commit that within the first 90 days of coming into office, we'll remodel the fiscal regime and meet the reality of a low-price commodity environment as it is now in the energy sector. We further commit to introduce more incentives to increase drilling and exploration that will help us to restore this country back to the greatness of, as we know, as the energy sector. Tonight, I remind the people of this nation that we must never forget nor forgive this government for the hurt and destruction they have caused tens of thousands of lives when they closed down Petrotrin. We must never forget when the Prime Minister, who lied in a public meeting, when he said that this government was not closing down Petrotrin, and 2 months later, Petrotrin was closed down. The closure of Petrotrin ruined many lives within our own constituency of Pointe-a-Pierre, as thousands were thrown on the breadlines. However, tonight, I bring hope to my constituents and all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Be reminded that part of the UNC's National Economic Transformation Plan is for the reopening of our oil refinery. Through this measure, our fuel security will be returned. Thousands of jobs will return and our energy sector will grow. Friends, our country has never existed in a more vulnerable, grim, and troubling state than it is now. We have seen that this government would rather lock out its own citizens, but allowing international sanctioned individuals in jeopardizing our entire national welfare. We have seen that this is a government who has opted for political PR while turning its backs on thousands who are in turmoil during this crisis. The time to stand against this government is now. The time to stand with a leader who has a vision and a party that has a solid track record is now. The time to stand with Kamla Persad-Bissessar is now. I thank you and good night.
She continues to raise the hard questions that strike right at the heart of our nation. Her legal background stands as a defense for social justice and equality for all. She exuberates statesmanship, ambition, and a passion for progress. In these tough times, some are called to meet the share of our nation's challenges. Each time she is called, she discharges her duties with dignity and determination. Live from the United National Congress social space, on the ballot now, Senior Counsel, former Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition, Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to join you again, where you're locked in your own homes, practicing all the necessary protocols from the health guidelines. But we thank you for allowing us an opportunity for this, our second virtual campaign meeting. I think I want to big up Team UNC, being the first in the history of our land to have virtual meetings, so we can keep you updated, we can let you know what we do. So give a big up to UNC team, and thank you very much for allowing us in this way to keep in touch with our citizens. I know times are very uncertain, and there is much despair in our land, but there is always hope. And we are here to share with you our vision, to share our plans, to bring back transformation and recovery to our very beautiful Twin Island Republic. David Lee shared with you, MP Lee shared some of the plans we have for the energy sector. And Rodney Charles spoke to you about international relations, diplomacy. Marsha spoke of her own experience, and Marsha Riley Walker from Diego Martin West. And I'm very pleased to announce that Marsha Riley Walker will be the UNC candidate for Diego Martin Northwest. And we trust that Marsha will be the person with the stone and the slingshot to take down the Goliath in Diego Martin West and bring victory to the UNC. So thank you, Marsha. Thank you very much. And I will roll out some more of the candidates as we go along. So we just don't intend to come and tell you all the bad things, because you know what they are. You have been suffering. Many people are suffering in this country. What we want to do is share with you some of the issues and at the same time roll out our plans, because that's what we are about. We have a plan. We have a vision. We have a plan to get this country working again. I think that is the greatest aim and goal and mission that anyone in this country should have at this time. Too many have lost their jobs. Too many are suffering. And you know, I want to share with you something that is really, really shocking to me, because again today I discovered that whilst people cannot get a hamper, they cannot get the salary relief grants, they cannot get the rental relief, the small business loans, we cannot help the ordinary people of our country, but the friends and the family and the financiers are the ones who are benefiting. I've shared with you some of this already, the Farisal rental, the millions of dollars. Up to today, we don't know if he sat in that cabinet to take a decision to give himself and his family millions in rentals. So here we are, the billionaires and the millionaires and the big boys. I want to share something with you tonight about these big boys. There's a company, it's called NCB Global Finance. This company, the CEO is Angus Young, the brother of Minister Stuart Young. Now, whilst there are many issues surrounding Stuart Young, while so many are calling for Stuart Young to go because of the fiasco with the Venezuelan visit, there is even more cause for concern in a time of suffering when we see what is happening. Since this government has come into power, NCB Global Finance has become the banker of choice for the government. Above and beyond the normal banking sector, above and beyond the institutional traders in the financial sector, NCB has jumped and leaped from an asset base of $83 million in 2015. They have loaned to the government of Trinidad and Tobago about $2.2 billion. Not millions, $2.2 billion. In fact, I will say it's more than that. It is over $2.5 billion. I had shared some of this information with you before. The loans with respect to Petrotrin, loans with respect to MTS, loans with respect to WASA, a bond for $1.5 billion. A bond floated just when the COVID issue and the lockdown. That's March of this year. Well, today, some concerned citizen has sent me another one. And this is one, a cabinet note, May 2020, May, this month. So in addition to all these loans that NCB is lending to the government, and don't get worried, I'll tell you why it is so important. 2.5 billion in loans that we know about. The latest one being dated in this cabinet note, May 21, 2020, cabinet number 872, finance note 20165. The matter for consideration of cabinet is the award of mandate to NCB Global Finance to provide a $125 million fixed rate loan for the refinancing of Tranche 1 of WASA's $432.2 million three-tranche bond. And this was given, others came in, bidders given to NCB Global. But in the RFP for this one, it was stated that whichever company it is, whichever banker, they should underwrite the entire loan. NCB was only able to underwrite 95 million. Yet they were given the entire mandate for the $125 million. You know what is interest rate? Through the life of this bond, this particular loan from NCB, they will receive 60.8 million in interest. And that interest is what? That's pure profit. That is profit. That's just for this one in May 2020. Just a few days ago, May 21. So whilst you are battling here for a hamper, for relief grants, for rental issues to help you with your rents, small businesses for small business loans to keep afloat, to keep workers, to keep themselves and their families going. While you are scrambling there for a $1,500 salary grant, which you can't even get, we're scrambling for, I see it in the constituencies, we are there, I receive every day so many emails, text, WhatsApps, persons coming even to our gates, MPs and myself, they just can't eat. But you're giving this $60 million will be this company's interest. But that's not the end of it. Because the total, thus far I'm saying, from all the loans which I had shared before, this being the latest one, they have loaned to the government about $2.5 billion from 2016 to May of this year. And do you know how much profits they're going to make? Through interest? Over $2 billion. Over the life of the various loans, they're going to get at the end of it $2 billion. That's your money. That's not government money, that's taxpayers' dollars. That this company, the brother of Stuart Young, Angus Young, CEO, $2 billion in profits. I find it impossible to believe that they could be so bold-faced and brass-faced that they will keep giving. I mean, they gave a loan, as I said, the $1.5 billion with respect to the bond, and just in COVID, that was in March. They gave others for WASA, they gave for MTS, they gave for UDICOT, and by the way, on the same day the Prime Minister transferred UDICOT to his portfolio, for him to be in charge of UDICOT, is the same day they gave, or took, or mandated NCB to provide loan to UDICOT. I share these things with you not because I'm saying wrong is happening, but something is not right. How come the normal traditional banks are not qualifying to be able to supply these? And you know what is worse? When NCB gets the mandate to raise the monies and then lend it to the government, they're borrowing from the traditional bank. And how still then can they come in low and you say, I'm giving it to them because they're getting this money for us at a lower rate, when they're getting it from the same commercial banks? Something is not right. And for every one of these cabinet notes, for every one of these loans, I ask the question, did Stuart Young recuse himself from the cabinet meeting? Because this is his brother. Will you come clean and tell us it? Don't tell us it. We found out about all of these things because first, I think Senator Mark, had asked a question in the Senate. So we found out the first set of loans. And some of those, we don't know what are the interest rates. So when I say $2 billion, this is only on the ones we know the interest rates for. Thereafter, good concerned citizens have been sending us cabinet notes. I shared with you, as I said, some of those. For everything I say here tonight, I have documentary evidence. I am not getting this out of the sky. This is concerned citizens of our country who are very worried and very concerned about the direction that we are going. So I share with you tonight, and let us know, Mr. Young, did you recuse yourself? And therefore, why is it the other banks are not qualifying? Tell us why. What is your RFP? What is your procedure? What is the process? And that is why we come back again to this procurement legislation. We had passed the procurement legislation. It has to do with two things. It's procurement, if the government is buying, or disposal of property, if you're selling any property. So all procurement would have come under the Procurement Commission. They have abandoned that for 5 years. Their term is done, they're on their last legs, and they still have not proclaimed the legislation. Why? To allow them to go down to Australia and buy boats without any procurement, to buy ATR aircraft. When this country, when they said the Treasury was empty, government running on fumes when they came into office, they were busy ordering ATR aircraft for Caribbean Airlines. Millions and millions of dollars, but crying no money. So all the big package deals, they've done them without proper procurement legislation. I commit, as I did then, in 2010, I committed on the platform that we will pass the legislation. The PNM in opposition then, led by Rowley, fought us every step of the way. At one point, they refused to even come to the Parliament in the committee meetings to deal with procurement legislation. Eventually, we passed it. It had to be proclaimed, but we had put a committee when we left, just before we left, to oversee how we will implement. 5 years later, This wicked government, incompetent government, has refused to put procurement legislation in place, but yet they continue to procure and to dispose of private property. So there's much more I can say, but I want to share some plans. Whilst I complain, I really would like to share some plans, and I want to clear up a little on what Rodney has already said. You know, we have exposed this government time and time again. You know, they say, when we sing our anthem, we talk about forge for the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. This government came into being, the Rowley government, forged in the love of lies. They started off campaigning in 2015. Emailgate, remember that? Emailgate, the greatest hoax you could have seen. That's what they campaigned. They came thereafter, Ganjagate. They came out corruption and all the other things. But when they came in, we've been exposing them. We have exposed at Emailgate total false fabrication. Ganjagate, waste of time. They talked about a cabal in the partnership government. Well, you know what's happening with this government? It's a one-man show, the Minister of Everything, Stuart Young. So they don't have a cabal, they have a one man running everything, the Minister all-purpose, running everything. We have exposed them on fake oil. He called me, what do you call it? He said geometry. When we exposed with documentation the fake oil, $100 million. So geometry. When we exposed the Venezuelan issue with a visit of Madame Delcy and the officials there, he said traitor. Well, as I told you before, my lawyers have filed pre-action letters against him. We will take him to court. Because if there's any traitor in this country, it's not me. And if Rowley and I were in the same room, that traitor is not me in the room. I will take him to court. My lawyers have asked for $2 million in damages. We will go to court with that one. So they'll come and lies, and we expose the lies. And I come back, Rodney spoke about the treaty. I didn't intend to spend much time because so much has been said about the treaty. But, you know, Minister Moses, suddenly he wake up. Where was he all these months when this issue was a burning issue? Suddenly he wakes up. Thanks to Senator Anita Haynes, who raised the motion in the Parliament about the Rio Treaty. And he wakes up now to say that we are not in breach of any treaty. Such, you know, Minister Moses is not the sharpest knife in the cabinet drawer in the kitchen. So when he was finished speaking, you really couldn't, up to now I don't know what he said or didn't say. But because the Prime Minister today, when asked, said, we have not withdrawn from a treaty, well then, according to law, Mr. Moses, get a lawyer. I'm sure you have maybe one or two good ones around you in your government, in your cabinet. I won't trust Faris Al-Rawi, so you will want to get another lawyer to advise you. If you look at the international law, we are bound by the treaty, we are parties to the treaty, and within the treaty it tells you how to get out of the treaty. Now, a treaty is a contract. It's a contract with 19 nations. I think Rodney is 19 parties now in that Rio Treaty. And within the treaty, as any contract, it tells you how to get out of it if you want to get out of it. And how you have to get out of it, you have to send a notification, I think it's to the Pan-American Union, I want to get out of this. And then you have to wait 2 years. 2 years after you send notification before you can remove yourself from the treaty. That's the first part of the law. Please understand, Minister Moses. The second part of the law is that, yes, the treaty was a 1947 treaty. Trinidad and Tobago signed on, acceded, ratified, as the case may be, in 1967, became a party and therefore bound. Thereafter, inserted in the treaty was something called an organ, a consultative organ, which is all the member states, that where the treaty at first was just about defense, it was expanded now to deal with any kind of untoward behavior by any of the nation parties. And last year, this consultative organ met at the OAS in Washington. They met, and there, 16 out of 19 of the countries approved for travel restrictions and sanctions on Delcy Rodriguez and, of course, others, Delcy. Trinidad and Tobago went to that meeting in the person of Mr. Moses. So Mr. Moses knows what happened. He knows what the resolution was, and he knows that the majority approved the resolution that was taken at the OAS last year. And in that, travel restrictions on Delcy. He did not vote against the resolution. He abstained. I see he's saying some things about, well, Trinidad made it clear that they didn't agree and disagreed. But why abstain? If you don't agree, say no. When the vote is taken, you say aye. You say no. He abstained. Trinidad and Tobago abstained through the minister. Thereafter, there was another meeting of similar ilk. The U.S. Embassy sent a diplomatic note telling the government of Trinidad and Tobago, look, this lady and others are under international restrictions for travel. That is way before she arrived here. That is since December last year, September and then December, 2 meetings. Trinidad and Tobago did not attend the second one, but they were notified that the travel restrictions were on. So Mr. Moses knew all of that. And now he's made some convoluted, Trini say cock and bull story to tell us we are not bound by the treaty. It says very clearly where the majority of states agree to a resolution when they meet it, that organ, consultative organ, you are bound, even though you abstained, even though you did not attend, you are bound. And therefore, Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Moses, wake up. Trinidad and Tobago is bound by that treaty. And I think that you have now exacerbated the situation. It was bad enough when Minister Young and others, and the Prime Minister saying he didn't know who was in the room and who came and didn't come. But this is even worse. This is like an act of aggression. This is like provocation. The U.S. has already said the parties are bound by the treaty, whether they agreed to the resolution or not. You are now telling them, listen, we are not bound. Are you provoking a war with the United States? If such a war should arise, it may not be by force or arms, it will be by way of sanctions, which will more severely impact the economic well-being of Trinidad and Tobago. We will not be able to trade with the other partners. The U.S. is our largest trading partner and ally. Like them or don't like them, that is the reality for today. If you cannot trade with them, I live in Jamaica, you know. And in Jamaica, Michael Manley was the Prime Minister. He was very much into the non-aligned movement, socialist government and so on. For many years I lived there. And the kind of sanctions visited on Jamaica were horrifying. If you went to the supermarket, you would have hundreds of people just grabbing a bag of flour, a bag of rice. You couldn't get food because of the economic blockade with sanctions. So don't think they'll drop bombs on us. I don't think the world is moving from barbarism. They have more subtle ways of doing things. As Rodney said, we do not call for sanctions on Trinidad and Tobago. He said he didn't call for sanctions on any individual. Well, I'm sorry, if any sanctions should come, let it not be on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let it be on the persons who may have breached the Rio Treaty, to which we are a party. So, in terms of the treaty, I don't know where we are going with this now, because we will get some kind of replies to what Mr. Moses said in the Senate on the last day. I'll move along and deal with some other issues. I want to talk a little about agriculture, because we have agriculture as one of the main pillars of our economic transformation plan. And I raise it because just a couple of days now, there have been 2 articles, one in the Sunday Express, food import bill for 2019, US $834 million. So every year, we spend almost $6 billion TT dollars to do what? To import food. We have no food security. Sometimes we don't even have food. And with COVID-19, it's going to be worse. What this tells us, what are we importing? Almost $6 billion every year to buy food from abroad. We buy rice. Rice. As a child, I grew up planting rice. With my grandparents, my mother, we used to plant rice. And many others around us in the village, they used to plant rice. There's a famous rice growing somewhere up in Marua, if I'm not mistaken, the hill rice. We used to plant what is known as lagoon rice. That's in the rice fields. We import rice every year. $124.6 million in rice. Why can we not grow rice? I know once when I spoke of agriculture, the Prime Minister said, we don't have land. But I see he found some land to plant some pak choy recently. He found some land. We don't have land. You can see we have vertical growing gardening now. You don't have to just go flat land acres, but we do have land. We have all of the Caroni lands, don't forget. All those lands are there. Proper lands that can be used for agriculture. In our plan, we talk about leasing acres of lands out of the Caroni lands to promote private sector investment in agriculture. You know what we import as well? Eggs. You mean we can't have chickens here? We import meats and poultry and eggs. Why can we not, produce this? Look at how many hatching eggs. We import, the writing is very tiny on this, but for hatching eggs, $121.2 million for the year to import hatching eggs. To import what they call Tabor eggs, another 9.3 million. We import sugar. They closed down the sugar factory. Yeah. That is why in my economic plan for the UNC, our plan, we talk about revitalizing the sugar industry. You know how much in sugar we are importing? Let me find that back for you. Sugar. $224.6 million. Now, I'm calling the TT. But remember, you had to find foreign exchange to buy these things. Sugar. We can grow sugarcane, we can produce sugar, and then we can have all the sugarcane products. Molasses, you can use the bagasse. You could use down to the straw from sugar, the sugar canes. That's another plank that we have in our agricultural plan. So what I envisage is not to reopen the carry lands for sugarcane, but for us to ask the private farmers who were once great producers, private farmers, and we set up a mill where we can manufacture the sugar and the other things that come from sugar and sugarcane. These are just some of the things, but if you look through this, we import meat. TT dollars worth $731 million. Meat. Can we not do sheep rearing, goat rearing, yes? Dairy farming. We import a lot of milk, by the way, as well. So if you want to take a look at this, you'll see the things that we have. Salted fish. We are an island surrounded by water. You mean we can't salt fish? We had to buy salt fish, which I really like, by the way. Salted fish, $76.4 million in salted fish. Soybean oil, sausages, tuna, corn, feed preparation, water. We import in water. Can you believe that? Minister of Public Utilities, we import in water and people still don't have water. The whole of the South has no water. Many other areas, no water. I think Lehunt smelt the rat and he jumped ship. He jumped the ship because the entire country now, after 5 years of government, they have taken the water supply down very low. So I speak of agriculture, I give you some live examples. This is almost $6 billion TT dollars to import, and we don't have foreign exchange. Our main foreign exchange earner, Petrotrin, you shut it down. So where are we getting foreign exchange to buy $6 billion worth TT every year to buy food? I said, what we want to do, we want to go back into the agriculture. The second article I mentioned is one from The Guardian as well. And this one is Guardian Sunday as well. The two Sunday newspapers, Sunday, May 24th. Low allocation, no food security, policy neglect, lip service. And they gave a chart which shows how the allocations from the government, from the budget, has dropped and dropped and dropped each year since the PNM came into office. They have no priority for agriculture. And I can see why. As the Prime Minister said, he believes we do not have land. Nothing is further from the truth. And so our plans include getting agriculture into a major way. As you know, I enjoy my own garden. I put up a video quite a while back. I have a second crop of tomatoes coming in and all those things. I enjoy it. It is therapeutic, on top of which it tastes really good. So let's get back to this. Don't get fooled by they're suddenly interested in food and food security, when for 5 years they've killed the agricultural sector. And remember, Minister Imbert used to make a joke of ministers of agriculture. You call him Minister of Pumpkin and Baji. A big joke for them. So we have economic diversification strategy as a pillar one, agriculture. We want to deal with the high import food bill. Here are some of the proposed initiatives you'll allow me to share with you. And these include create agricultural parks with all necessary infrastructure, focus on local crops, organic superfoods, and non-traditional export crops. Did you know what some people call Saijan, others call it moringa, is now a superfood? that can be grown in Trinidad and Tobago. We can export that. You go into the pharmacy, you go up to Florida and you go into those pharmacies, what you call them, CVS or whatever, and you see them selling moringa leaves, moringa leaves. I see it now, the latest superfood is something called, wow, it's I know it as kawa, but there's another name for it. Anybody remembers what it is? It looks like a big breadfruit. Jackfruit. Great, that's a jackfruit. Now a superfood. And I saw on the internet the 10 hottest peppers in the world. You know, Trinidad and Tobago has 2 of the hottest peppers in the world. 2, not 1, 2 in the top 10. One is the scorpion pepper. The other one is 7-pot. You know why it's called 7-pot? The article, the internet blog said. They call it 7-pot. It's so hot because you can cook 7 pots with that pepper. Now, all of this is interesting, but any pepper we can grow, we can export. Pepper is in tremendous demand across the world. So we look at agricultural parks with the infrastructure, local crops, organic superfoods, non-traditional export crops. We will invest in improving agricultural access, roads, irrigation, and drainage for the parks. We'll implement an agriculture insurance protection system for farmers so they're covered against loss from flooding, drought, loss from pests and diseases, pretty larceny, fire, and business interruption. We see every year how the farmers cry. They get like 5 cents or 10 cents for their products. Let's get an agricultural insurance protection system. That way they contribute, the government helps with it. We will invest in research and development and encourage innovation in agricultural practices, processes, and technology, and commercialize new products. We'll work with farmers and private sector investors to capitalize on global demand for non-traditional food crops for export, and I mentioned already hot peppers. Invite private investors to establish an agro-processing complex. What this will do when we have a lot of produce, we do agro-processing, so we don't have to dump. We don't have to throw it away. It doesn't have to rot. So we will also invest, as I said, in the former carry lands, registered farmers, private investors. There's much more on the agricultural pillar, but these are some of them. I envisage that we can have a special fund. I had mentioned the funds before, 3 funds, one of which will help us with getting space and product in the agricultural sector. Say, for example, we have the HSF. We invest the HSF in various things. We can take part of the HSF and invest it in agriculture elsewhere. So we can't grow wheat here. So what we do, invest in wheat production somewhere else. So we actually own part of the production. So when we import it, of course, the price will be less and the supply will be guaranteed in that way. So things that we cannot produce ourselves, we can take a percentage of HSF, use it and make profits. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, which we will continue to share with you. As you know, we are not staying very long for these virtual meetings. I want to thank the team again, and I want to just spend a few minutes to share some of our other candidates. We continue screening on Tuesday, this last Tuesday of this week, and we will do more screening. I hope to finish by next week, the screening of all candidates. So on Tuesday again, we will go. I already mentioned Marcia Riley Walker, consultant and motivational speaker for Diego Martin West. Curtis Orr, former police officer and community activist, Port of Spain South. Darren Garner, youth speaker, activist and young entrepreneur, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. John Ricardo Lakis, businessman and long-standing community activist, Diego Martin Central. Eli Zakur, businessman, entrepreneur, Diego Martin Northeast. So these are some of the candidates we named today, with others to be named as we go forward in the next week. As I close, remember, now is the time is now. We have to get TNT working again. We have the plan. We have an economic transformation plan. I shared some of it with you tonight. David Lee shared some as well. And in that plan, agriculture, yes, but there's a lot more, not just agriculture. Post-COVID, during COVID, I have called, and I repeat the call, we must reduce taxes. We have to reduce taxes. Reduce personal taxes, income tax, We must reduce corporation taxes, and we must take the VAT off food items. We must bring down the cost of living. So if taxes drop down, then we'll get more investor confidence. They will have more interest to make investments. I always use the example of the United States. When they dropped their corporation tax rate, their companies that went abroad to look for cheaper tax rates, they started to repatriate back into the US. And before the COVID, they were creating thousands of jobs. So by dropping the tax rates, you will be able to get more productivity. You'll be able to have more people working. And then you may ask me, where are you going to get the money from if you don't raise taxes? This government has spent the entire 5 years on two things to raise money. One, tax, tax, and tax. And the second has been borrow, borrow, borrow. And we are nowhere better off. Even before COVID, as David mentioned, the economy had collapsed. Post-COVID is going to be even worse. How do we get it going again? Reduce taxes. I make that call repeatedly. We will do it. I commit. We will reduce taxes, personal taxes, corporation taxes, and as we did once, remove the VAT on food items so that ordinary people have a better chance of surviving and living. So my friends all, we are on the ballot tonight. We'll be back on the ballot in a virtual. And stay safe. Stay safe. We shall meet again very soon. As Marsha told you tonight, I miss you. We all miss you very much. But know that you're always in our hearts. And we will continue to share our plans with you to get TNT working again. In our last incarnation, we created over 50,000 new jobs. We did that without a single new tax. And in fact, we had removed the taxes from the VAT on food items. We pledge to you again that we will get TNT working again as we move with plans and programs to create another over 50,000 new jobs. I thank you. God bless you all. Stay safe.